guys all to the National Self-Storage Investment Club, nation's fastest growing self-storage investment club. We're already at 79 members just in the past 2 weeks and growing. And this is a place where, like, it's not just going to be a webinar, but this is a place where we make connections, we're growing in knowledge, and we are closing deals. So I want to thank you guys for being part of it, part of something that's groundbreaking. We, got a lot of things that we got planned, and a lot of things that we have in store. If you guys have not already, go check out the website and check out all the resources that we have on there. There's more resources that are to come in terms of just training and education and things like that. It's gonna be a lot. Now, as far as our Wednesday meeting order, once we, starting next week, we have a specific order that we're going to have to the meetings where, we'll have a quick little welcome. We're going to discuss our previous wins. We'll have a, trivia icebreaker game, industry update, our sponsor shout out. Then we'll get into our featured speaker with some live Q&A and a quick pitch. And, with this club, we don't want it to just be, a boring webinar. Like, we want it to be live and engaging and fun and educational attainment. What's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? Edutainment. We want some edutainment. Thank you, Trey. Edutainment. Thank you, Trey. Producer Trey. So, and again, we're every Wednesday, 10 o'clock a.m. Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern, and the sessions are recorded for those of us that are not able to make it on Wednesdays, or for those that may, because we have some folks that work jobs and are not able to make it. So we record the sessions for them. We've got a great calendar coming up. As I mentioned, the past couple of weeks, we have our speaker calendar is booked solid through Christmas, basically. And we have folks that are coming in talking about everything from how to syndicate deals. We have lawyers that are going to be coming in talking about tenant contracts and agreements. I mean, it's just a lot of education. I mean, just for the speakers alone, it's really worth the money when you look at the people that we have and the caliber of people that we have coming to speak at the group. People like Brett Henry, who he owns over 5 million square feet of storage nationwide. Liz Schlesinger, she's the 9th largest storage operator and buyer in the nation. So very great people, very great speakers that we have coming out. This is our calendar. You guys will see this in the group, and we'll also send it to you via email, so that way you can mark your calendars for various people that you want to see. As far as the club updates, we have an app. So if you guys have an iPhone or Android or something, go to your app store and download the app. It's Kajabi, Kajabi. So download that app. This is the icon or the symbol. Search, insert your credentials, and then look up the National Self-Storage Investment Club, and then we'll be there. And then starting on March the 12th, at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, as part of the group, we're going to start a kind of a live deal room session where anybody that has deals that they're working on and you have questions about these deals, you want to get like a second set of eyes on the deal, want some feedback, Q&A, market research. This is going to be the time where we're just going to have a nice little round table of deals. It's going to be unstructured, where we're just looking through deals, analyzing deals that people have, or if folks are, maybe they're looking to raise capital and have some questions. This is going to be that time for that. Some more updates in March. We're going to be launching a very exhaustive training course where we'll have various training modules that you can go through to learn about anything from management to marketing, syndication, contracts, etc. So something I'm very excited about, and I'm really looking at that being the premier training source for self-storage nationwide. And also we will have a vendor directory that should be up within the next week or two in terms of a list of various vendors in self-storage. So lenders, insurance providers. Hold on, let me. So lenders, insurance providers, you know, escrow, just various people in the industry that you can go through if you're looking for a vendor. So quick industry update. Some of you guys may have heard this. If you have not, Public Storage, who is the largest storage operator in the nation, they are moving their location from, they're moving their headquarters from Los Angeles over to Texas. I don't know, did anybody hear about that news that came out last week? Yeah, so that's some big news, because again, they're the largest in our industry. They operate 3,500 stores, over 250 million square feet, and for them to move from Los Angeles over to Texas, it's a big deal, and it kind of goes with what we've been seeing in the industry as far as people in the industry gravitating towards the South and the Southeast. I would say over the past 5 to 10 years that, I've been a broker, I've been seeing more and more people looking to buy storages in the South, in the Southeast. And that's primarily due to the fact that a lot of the US population is starting to migrate to the South and the Southeast. And that's where you're seeing a lot of population growth. So this U-Haul index, this is something that you guys should be paying attention to as storage professionals, and just seeing, hey, where are all this tracks the number of one-way U-Haul truck rentals across the nation. And it's a metric that a lot of industry professionals use to determine, which states have the fastest growing population and which states they should be looking to invest, because you want to invest in areas that are in growth mode as opposed to areas that are flatline or declining, because that's where you're going to get your most value add.
So what areas are you looking at? The ones in the green or the ones in the red over here on this chart?
Let me see. I got the wrong. Let me see. Hold on. So you see are you looking at this chart, the U-Haul growth index?
Yeah, but I'm looking at the map of the United States next to it.
Yeah, so that's just something else that's showing. So what this is showing is just how much the South is growing, because the South is not just growing in terms of population, but this right here is just showing the just the economy in the South, and the fact that the South is witnessing positive GDP compared to a lot of other areas last year that were, that had negative GDP.
Okay.
And a lot of that's taken place in the South is because there's so many different businesses like Public Storage relocating to the South, and different individuals relocating to the South just because of the cost of living. Yeah. So before we get started, I want to just thank our sponsors. Quick Store. If you guys are looking for management software, Quick Store is the way to go. Very affordable price. They're a lot better than their larger competitor, and they integrate with a lot of things. So again, if you guys are looking for software, try out Quick Store. And if you are looking for any type of data for self-storage, you're looking for market reports, you're looking for research, looking for demographics, StoreTrack has it all. That's who we've been using for the past 10 years for all of our research. And it's a really good way for you guys as owners and investors to keep up with various market trends. Now, did any of you guys use StoreTrack? I'm curious. No?
No, never heard of it.
Okay, all right. You should check them out. They're really good. They again, like we use them for doing, if you're looking to do rental surveys, if you're looking to identify other new markets on which you can invest. I mean, they're the ones that, again, they're our go-to. They're the ones that we use all the time.
Okay.
So without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome our feature speaker today. We got Nick Collins, who is the Vice President of Commercial Lending for Bank 59. Nick has been with the bank for 17 years, and he specialized in nationwide self-storage financing for the past 14 years. He brings deep knowledge of the industry and real-world lending experience specifically tailored to self-storage acquisitions and also development. Now, the company is headquartered in Wisconsin, and Bank 59 has been servicing businesses since 1859, and that's actually where they get the name from. Today, they're recognized as one of the top SBA lenders in the nation. And as an SBA preferred lender, Bank 59, they're able to streamline the lending process, make it smooth and efficient and straightforward as possible, helping you guys as business owners secure the funding that you need to succeed. So through their programs, they're able to help you out with the purchase of new real estate, refinance existing debt, ground up construction, or if you want to purchase some equipment or expand or do anything like that. So if you're considering a loan for self-storage, Nick Collins and Bank 59 would be the way to go. And with that being said, everybody help me welcome Mr. Nick Collins.
Hey, Nick.
Everybody. Electric introduction.
Nick, what's the significance, Nick, to the song that you was that something you like to dance to in college, or what's the?
That's a little bit before college time, but I mean, it's just kind of I feel like when you try to karaoke a song, you got to play the crowd, and I think that speaks to a lot of different demographics and age groups, so it just kind of works.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me get this on. And hey, guys, as Nick is presenting, if you got a burning question and you got something that you just want to, that you want to ask, feel free to interrupt. Don't be shy. Don't feel like you have to wait until the end of the presentation to ask a question, because you might forget something. So
absolutely,
if you got something like really pressing that you really want to ask, go ahead and ask him.
Then I'll just say next if you want to control the slides.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone see that?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
We go next, please.
There we go.
So I've been with Bank 59 for 17 years. It was 14. I've specialized in nationwide self-storage. We're one of the one of the top SBA lenders in 2023. Kind of a cool story, because at heart, we're like a little 13 branch community bank in the middle of nowhere. We were the number one 504 lender, which is a different loan program, and I'll get to that. But regardless, self-storage is one of the industries that our bank specializes in. The goal of my presentation today is to kind of go over some broad overviews and caveats for people that are looking to get into the industry, want to expand their portfolio. It's way easier for you guys to follow with me about what you're looking to do, rather than me to tailor a presentation to everybody involved. So feel free to follow up with specific questions or stop me at any point. I'm going to start off talking about the SBA 7A program, which is their flagship program that banks use for first-time owners and first-time buyers. Reason being, there's no management experience needed. It's generally a smaller down payment at 10% of a purchase price or 10% of a new construction deal. If you own a facility and you wanted to expand, once you own a facility for 2 years, you can actually utilize this program with no money down, as long as the math works with collateral, cash flow. So I just think it's a really good bridge to get people's toes in the hot tub, get them into the industry at a low down payment amount. Hey,
Nick, can you go over that again? Because that's something that we get asked a lot from buyers, as far as, hey, is 100% financing, is that real? Can I buy something without any of my own cash?
Yeah, so it is real. You just would have to own a facility for 24 months before you could utilize a 0% or no money down loan to expand. And by expand, the definition is either buy another site or build another site. Okay. So you would need to try to build that equity in that first facility before you could take advantage of that zero money down.
I got you. Okay. Is there a certain amount of equity that you would need to see in that first facility before you did the zero?
Generally, yeah, good question. So generally that's where if you got a new appraisal on the first facility compared to the note, if you had the 10% equity for the next deal, that's where that would come into play.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay.
Or for some people looking to build or expand, if you own the land for 24 months, you can utilize the value of the appraisal of the land you own, and that can be your down payment as well. So I think a lot of people think, well, if I have cash, I still need to pay the extra, 10, 15, 20% down, depending on the loan program. Not true. We can utilize the land value as a person's down payment as well.
Okay. And did you give them I'm sorry, go ahead, Scott.
What if you put 20% down when you purchase a property, but now you're refinancing it?
So kind of the same, think of it the same way. If you owned a facility for 2 or 3 years and you wanted to refinance into the program, your equity position would be the same as the down payment. So we would get a new appraisal, see where the value is, net out the loan against it, and then we would use that difference kind of as the equity plug for the refi.
Do you have to wait for that 24-month period? I'm probably at 18 months now. And I've owned it. It's, cash flowing, that sort of thing. So the question is, do you have to wait for that 24 months to do one, even though I put 20% down when I bought the facility?
Generally, the rule of thumb would be like a 2-year ownership hold, but you're right around the corner.
Okay. Thank you.
Next slide. Kind of just echoing kind of some of the things I went over. 90% financing with the 7A with a 10% down. This program is capped at $5 million total, but there are other options that I'll get to that allow you to do SBA loans. This 7A program, 25-year term, 25-year amort. If you were going to build a facility, we're allowed to technically go up to 3 years of interest only to build the site and also lease it up. And then while you build and lease up, we can also roll in the funds to make the loan payments that come out of the loan so that you're not paying out of pocket. So I think that's another benefit too with these programs is you're not paying out of pocket while you build and lease up a facility. You can include that capital into the loan package. And then with this program, there's only a 3-year prepayment penalty, 5% year 1, 3% year 2, 1% year 3. Then you're free to refinance or sell or exit the loan if you wanted. Next slide, please.
Nick, that's actually a big deal to be able to do that, to build, and then you guys actually provide a loan for the reserves to be able to cover those payments for, what is it, up to 36 months of the lease up? Or
yeah,
what's
the technical rule? The technical rule is 36 months, albeit the client or the borrower would have to paint that picture. So if it takes a year to build and 2 years to lease up, absolutely all day. But if you're going to build like 20 units, it's kind of hard to justify to do 3 years, but we try to stretch it as long as we can to help people out.
Yeah, that's really good because now that actually makes sense for people that may be afraid of building, because I know a lot of folks are afraid to build because you have that 18 to 24 month period where the property is not cash flowing because it's leasing up. But with this program, I mean, you're able to get a loan to cover those mortgage payments until it leases up. That's pretty big.
Yeah, I feel like I deal with a lot of people that call at the 11th hour really frustrated with a local bank or a bank that doesn't do a lot of storage, and like, well, they did a 12-month construction loan now that's due,
right?
And they don't know what to do because they never baked in the interest only. They don't bake in the interest carry. So I guess it's just working with a bank that funds the industry like us. We kind of understand the needs. So I think that's a big thing to think about, is just make sure if you're going to do something that you have enough capital to pay for everything.
Right. And then this will roll over, and then you guys will then refinance and roll this over into permanent debt.
This,
right?
Yeah, this is an all-encompassing loan. So it's
Okay.
X amount of months of interest only that automatically rolls into amortizing. So there's no refi. It's just all one product.
Okay. That's good. Scott, this is something that might work for you. I know we spoke in the past. You spoke with us about building out your RV
Correct.
storage portion. That's something that might work for that.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I'm looking at. I'll have to have a personal conversation about personal guarantees because I own several properties, and I know with SBA you have a lot of personal guarantees, that sort of thing. But yeah, it looks like a programmer would work well for me.
All right. Next slide. You want the next slide, Nick?
Yep. And then, like you said in the opener, the use of funds, you can use this to buy a new self-storage facility. You can utilize it to refinance debt. If you wanted to buy a dilapidated property and you needed money for new doors, a roof, gate, cameras, we can roll all that in with the purchase as well. So all we ask is if you are going to buy a facility and you want money for improvements, expansion, if anything requires permits, please get ahead of that because we will be looking into that. A lot of people think, well, I don't need a permit for that. I can do whatever I want. I'm in the middle of nowhere, Texas, or I'm outside city limits. You can't build a replica of the Taj Mahal. So just make sure if anything major with improvements or expansion needs permitting, just get that all lined up while we work on the loan so that it all times out good. Next slide, please. Here's an example of like when we get a new deal, kind of how I break it out for underwriting. So if you were going to build a new facility or buy, you could break it down. You kind of have your left sides, your use of funds. Kind of think of it as like the projects. So you have like your land purchase, your construction costs. We automatically roll in a 10% contingency based on the general contractor's bid. And then if you needed money for like gate equipment, cameras, website, the interest carry to build, all the closing costs for like construction draws, title, appraisal, environmental, roll that all into one bucket. We would slide that over to the right. We would just need 10% down. So anything that you need to roll into a budget, we can try our best to include it all. And then just the down payment will be based on the total cost. Next slide, please. Kind of as Scott was saying before, these programs do require a personal guarantee. So anybody with 20% ownership would need to personally back the deal. And we would look for 1.15 debt service coverage by the 24th month of being open if you were going to build. Obviously, if you're going to buy a facility, it's ideal to buy a property that has existing cash flow. But to go back, I think a lot of people get scared by the guarantee language and kind of what that really means. I've been with the bank for 17 years. I don't think we've ever had to foreclose on a self-storage facility before. And granted, if things aren't going good, I don't want to take back the keys to a non-performing asset, just like the borrower wouldn't want to deal with. All that really means is if we lent out $2 million, we just want to get our money back. So I feel like a lot of times if you own or build a facility, it's pretty easy to sell at cost to get us paid off and you out from underneath it. But at the end of the day, I don't want to deal with any problems just like anybody else would. It's just we would have to work together, figure out a plan, and you can't just disappear. So I think that's the biggest purpose of having a personal guarantee is like, hey, if we hit a rough patch, I'm going to work with you and we're going to get through this together.
What about attaching it to other properties I own? I own a lakefront resort in California and a bunch of other properties. Do they have to attach those properties to it as well?
I would need more pieces of the puzzle before I could answer that. If the value of the self-storage facility covered the loan, then no, we wouldn't. But if there's a shortfall, then we might. It would just depend on the math and kind of the loan size and the value.
Okay, great.
Next slide, please. So to kind of go with what Scott was asking about, if you're going to buy an existing facility, what we do is we take 80% of the appraised value and then compare that to the loan amount. So if there's a shortfall based on that math, which most of the time with 10% down, and if you needed like funds for things above and beyond, like marketing, website, roof, then we might need to like take a second on a different property just until the value of the existing site can cover it. So that's where that kind of comes into play. It just depends on the math of the deal and how we have to look at it. Now, granted, if you don't have any other assets, and we do have like a $250,000 shortfall, the cool thing about this SBA program is if you don't have any other assets to pledge, there's nothing that we can do. We can still fund the deal as long as there's positive cash flow. So the key with these programs is cash flow, not as much collateral. Next slide, please.
Hey, Nick, I had a question actually about about that the 80% 20. Are you guys still doing things where you will allow a seller carried second to count as part of that 10 to 20% equity?
Good question. On the 7A program, the seller note can count for half, so 5% of the total 10 for the down.
Oh, okay, I got you. Okay, that's good. So if I got $1 million deal I'm buying and need 100K down, I could bring in 50, have the seller carry 50, and you guys, that'll be a deal you guys would be able to do.
Now on the 504 program, which I'm going to talk about next, the seller note can count as the entire down payment needed. The seller note just can't have a lien on the real estate, but kind of a cool feature because you could get a 10 or 15% down seller note, and then that counts as your full down payment, and then try to sell that to the seller that, hey, we're going to break up your capital gains taxes if you do a seller note on a portion of the purchase agreement. So I feel like that's been a pretty popular way to structure a deal the last couple of years.
Yeah. And when you say it can't be a lien, so the seller would just have an unsecured loan with that borrower, or I guess they'd have to different.
Yeah, I mean, you could get creative. You could do like a different property. You could do some type of like right of first refusal if the buyer defaults on the debt. We just can't have a lien because you got to think about it, and I'll get to it in a little bit. The 504, we have a lien on first position, and the CDC or SBA is a second. So if the seller wants to put a third, they're not going to really get anything at the end of the day if it goes bad anyway.
Right. Okay.
So before I talked about the 7A program, which is a pretty popular program, and then there's also a program, the 504. This is kind of my bank's bread and butter. In like 2023, we're the #1 bank. We beat out Chase, Wells Fargo, all the big guys, which is kind of a cool story for us being a 13 branch bank. You can go up to $20 million per project, and it's not capped at $5 million. And the real highlight is a portion of the debt has a 25-year fixed rate, which that 7A doesn't. So if you want to go to the next slide, that kind of goes over kind of how we look at it. So if you had a 504 deal and you have 2 years of ownership, you can get 10% down. If it's your first time and you want first time owner or buyer and you want to get a 504, the 10 would go to 15, the 40 would drop to 35. But first, this is kind of viewed as someone who kind of has an established portfolio or 2 years into the business. That 50% piece of the pie, that's what my bank holds on to. We go up to a 30-year AM on purchases or construction, and then we can also do 3 years of interest only on a construction deal, and then a 30-year AM. So technically, we can go up to 33 years on a new construction deal. We usually do something like prime plus 1, prime plus 1.25 for the rate, and then that gray area, that's the 25-year fixed rate that the SBA offers. And to give you an idea, like coming out of the pandemic, the 25-year fixed rate was in the 2s, and then the last couple of years it was higher in like the 6s to 7s. We're down to 5.86 this month. So I feel like compared to where prime being at 6.75, if you can get a portion of a debt fixed for 25 years in the high 5s, that's a pretty sweet deal. So that's kind of where rates are at right now.
So the 504 has a lower interest rate between the two SBA products.
Yeah, it's a lower interest rate and longer repayment term. So for larger deals, I feel like this is kind of a better avenue as opposed to the 7A.
Because you said 7A, you can only go up to 5 million. So you're
correct.
You're capped at 5. But with the 504, is there a cap, or is it a lot higher?
So we can go up to $20 million because we would cap the gray area at 5 million, and the bank would just do the rest.
Right.
But if say you did like a $20 million deal through the 504 program, you're technically allowed to do as many 504 deals as possible, as long as the next one is green. And all you really have to do is add some type of energy savings component to reach 15% utility savings. So a lot of people just throw like LED lights over old fluorescent lights. They'll put solar panels on the roof. So there's really easy ways to get to that level.
Okay.
Next slide, please. This is kind of the same thing before. It's just kind of showing like, hey, a lot of people think, oh, SBA, I want a $7 million deal. I can't do it. You can do larger deals through this 504 program, and you can do multiple large deals. So I think one of the biggest things that I hear when I speak at trade shows or run into people is they think, oh, SBA, I can't do it. And then I'll go, well, why? And they're like, well, the deal's too big. And I think a lot of banks just don't do 504 deals. They only do the 7A. So just know larger deals are possible through this program. Next slide, please. I think this is like one of the biggest downfalls of the program, though, as with the 7A had the 3-year prepayment penalty, the 504 has a 10-year. And I think the logic behind that is, hey, if you're going to do like a 25-year lock, you're probably not going to flip it or try to sell it right away. So if you're looking to hold on to it for a couple of years, this is kind of an example of like, hey, if we close on the deal in January, the rate was 5.86. This is kind of the example of what the prepayment schedule would be. So, I mean, if you build if it takes a year to build, 2 years to lease up, you run it for a year, I think 3.52 is not too bad, figuring most banks will do like a 90-day interest or a percentage of principal. So it sounds more aggressive with a 10-year prepayment penalty than what it really is at the end of the day with this step down ladder. Next slide, please. So as I was saying before, this is kind of a recap, and I'm not going to bore you. I mean, you guys can download this later from Brandon. This kind of goes over like what you would need to do to get to the green energy report. So if you needed to do a couple large deals, just know the options out there. Pretty easy to do. All we do as a bank is we order, think of it as like an appraisal for utilities. There's companies that do it. So they'll be like, hey, this subject property has X amount of dollars with utilities. If they put in solar panels, they would save X amount of dollars. And then that kind of checks the box and then allows us to do the deals. Next slide, please.
But hey, Nick, I actually had a question for you. So with the construction loan, you said you would do interest only. Is there a situation where someone could do buy an existing facility that maybe needs some rehab or renovation or has some excess land for development, and then you would do that entire loan as a construction?
Yeah, great question, and that comes up almost weekly. So I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay.
It is possible, but I do feel like a seller and the seller's agent aren't going to allow John Smith to get all the planning commission, site plan, engineering, architectural work, like all the things that we would need to make sure what we approved, what we got appraised gets to that level. Especially in some states like West Coast, California, it can take a year to get the permits. But yeah, if you can obtain everything that we would need in the period that is allowed by the purchase agreement and the seller, absolutely. Otherwise, what we can do is just do one loan for the purchase, get you settled in, get you comfortable operating it, and then we can always come back and just do another loan for the construction once you're ready.
Okay. All right. Did you say next slide?
Yeah, next slide, please.
Okay.
I guess one thing to keep in mind with either 504 or 7A program is the third-party management. You can't use a REIT. So you wouldn't be able to use like Extra Space, Cube Smart, any of the big boys, just because they want to control the operations, the checking account, the employees, where storage is a total niche for SBA because you're not really allowed to use it for passive income, even though storage is definitely passive income, because you can't get an SBA loan for like an apartment complex, office strip, rental property. They view storage as a small business. So they want it to be hands-on from the owner operator. So that's where the REITs, all their management agreements don't comply with the rules, but there's plenty of third-party management firms out there that do comply, are going to be cheaper, aren't going to use the information against you with managing stores. So I think that's another thing too. People, well, oh, SBA, I wanted to use a third-party management agreement. You just have to find the right one, and there's plenty available out there. So I just think that's another thing to keep in mind. And that's pretty much all I had. That kind of goes over both programs and kind of how we look at things. And I'd be more than happy to hop on a call or email me if you want to go over any specific deals that anyone's looking at.